List views are used to display items in a list. An example would be your messages, email, your contacts, and much more. And when we open the settings, you see all these items are listed in a list view. In this tutorial, we are going to see how to build a list view from scratch. I'm using the Hello World application where just a single text view is shown. To begin building a list view, I'm going to delete the text view and replace this with a list view. And let's give the width as match parent and then the height as wrap content. And we need to give an ID to the list view. And I'm going to give the ID as LV list. And if we see the design, we can see that a sample list view is filled, but when we run the application, nothing will be displayed. This is just for reference. Now let's start coding. So first, I'm creating a field called ListView, and when we press Alt Enter, the class gets imported, and we need to get the list view from the ID. And to do that, we will be saying ListView equals ListView, find view by ID r.id.lv list, which is the ID that we referenced earlier. To initialize the list view, I'm going to create a method called initListView, and when we press Alt Enter, we can create the method. To create the list view, we need to have some kind of data that needs to be populated in the list view. And today we are going to create a menu app, and we are going to display string data in the list. And to do that, we need an array of string that needs to be displayed on the list. And to create that, we're going to create a string array, and I'm going to call the string array as menu. And the string array is going to contain multiple strings, and we can create that by using the flower brackets. And I'm going to have the menu items with starters, main course, and a dessert in the end. So for starters, let's say chicken 65, my favorite starter, and let's create another starter called prawn fry. Of course, tandoori chicken. There's no restaurant that does not have tandoori chicken in the menu. Indian restaurants, I mean. And let's create mutton biryani. And if we have mutton biryani, we should have chicken biryani because that is also my favorite. And for dessert, let's have mango ice cream. And to make this look better, I'm going to move this to the second line. And now we have the string of menu items that are going to be displayed in the list view. Now to convert this string array into an item that can be set to the list view, we need to create something called as an adapter. And to do that, we'll say array adapter string, which is the type of objects that we're going to have. And I'm going to call the adapter as adapter, and we can initialize it saying new array adapter. And this takes in 3 parameters. The first one is going to be context, and for every activity there will be something called as a context, and with the help of the context we can access resources, other activities, and much more. We will see how to use context as the course progresses. Now let's say that context equals this, and the first parameter is going to be context, and the second parameter is going to be a layout file. We need to indicate what the layout of each menu item is going to be. And to do that, I'm going to create a layout by right-clicking layout and say new layout resource file. I'm going to call the file as menu item. I'm going to click OK. The menu item is just going to be a text view. It's not going to be any layout. I'm going to replace this with a text view. And let's say the width is going to be match parent and the height is going to be wrap content. And we want some kind of padding, so I'm going to say Android padding equals 20 dp. Now to test if this text view works, I'm going to give it a sample text and see if this works fine. I'm going to call the text chicken biryani, and let's see the design. And I'm happy with the text view, and we have enough padding everywhere. So we can now delete the text shown here, and we can go back to the main activity and then pass in the layout that we just created by referencing it as art.layout.menuitem. And the last parameter that we are going to pass in is the string array called menu that we created earlier. Now we can close the bracket and end it with a semicolon. Let's set the array adapter to the list view. But we can do that by doing ListView.setAdapter adapter. Let's run this program and see. As we could see, we have the list view created. We have all the items that we created here, and this list can extend to whatever we want, and by default we have a line or a separator in between two list items. Now if we want to get this click into the code and handle it, we can do it by setting an onItemClickListener. To do that, we'll say ListView.set onItemClickListener, and we're going to say new AdapterView.onItemClickListener. And inside the set onItemClickListener, we need to know which item was clicked. So to do that, we are going to get the text from the view created here. And since we cannot get the text from view directly, we need to get it from the text view that we created earlier. And to do that, I'm going to create a text view from the view that is received here. And now we can get the string from the text view. And to do that, I'm going to create a text and get it from the text view. By textView.getText, we're going to convert it to toString. And let's toast the text that we just created. And the toast.makeText will take 3 parameters. The first one is the context, and the second one would be the text that we're going to toast. And we're going to toast text pressed, and the third object is going to be the length or the duration of the toast, and we can get it from the toast class by saying toast.length_long. I want it to be short, so I'm going to say toast.length short. And finally we have to show the text, and now let's run this and see. And now, as you could see, whenever an item is pressed, a toast message is displayed, which is chicken 65 pressed, and when I press chicken biryani pressed is displayed, and similarly for all the other items as well. By this method, we can have only one text view item here. In the app, each list item will have only one text view. But what if we want to have multiple text views? There's a way to do that. And for that, we need to create a custom adapter. Let's see how to create a custom adapter. To do that, I'm going to create a new class and call the class myAdapter. And this adapter is going to extend the base adapter. And when we press Alt Enter, we can say implement methods, and all the necessary methods will be implemented. And here notice that there is an override method called getView, and here we're going to pass in the layout that we can customize. And to do that, I'm going to edit the menu item layout, and here instead of text view, I'm going to have a relative layout as the parent, and inside the relative layout I'm going to have 2 text views, and I want the width and the height of the text view to be wrap content. I'm going to give it an ID, item name. Let's remove the padding from here and move it to the text view. Let's create another text view and call this item price, and I'm going to align this to the end of the parent so that this text view is in the end of this relative layout towards the right side. And now we need to create a constructor for this myAdapter, and I'm going to say public myAdapter, and this is going to take in the context. And let's get the context. This dot context equals context, and when I press Alt Enter, context class gets imported, and when I press Alt Enter again, we can create the field called context. And to get the view from the XML file or the layout file that we created, we need something called as the layout inflator. I'm going to call this li, and to create the layout inflator, we can do context dot get system service context dot layout inflator service. So using context, we are getting the layout inflator service from the system services list. And we can now create the view by li.inflate, and we can pass in the XML file or the layout file that we just created, which is r.layout.menuitem, and it is asking for a root. We don't have a root, so we're going to pass in null. And now to edit the text views from these, we need to supply the strings that we wanted to display. And to do that, I'm going to copy the menu item from the main activity to the myAdapter that we just created. And let's create another string called price, and let's assign price for these menu items that we have. So let's say $8.99 for the chicken 65, $14.99 for the prawn, $12.99 for the tandoori chicken, $12.99 for the mutton biryani, $9.99 for the chicken biryani, and $4.99 for the mango ice cream. Now to get the text views, we can simply say TV item name equals text view, and we cannot get the find view by ID directly. We need to say view.find view by ID. If we just get the find view by ID, it is going to throw in a null pointer exception, and we can use find view by ID directly only inside the activity. And since we are in a separate class, we need to get find view by ID from the view. And let's say r.id.tv item name, and similarly we're going to do the same thing for TV item price. I'm just copy pasting, and now we need to set the text for the text views. And to do that, tv.setText, we're just going to pass in menu I. So whenever each view gets created, whenever each row of the list view gets created, this method is going to call, and I value is going to get incremented. So when the first row is created, I will be 0, and then with the second row 1, and similarly till the last row is created. And we can use that value of I to get the corresponding value of the menu item or the price from the string array we created earlier, which is menu and price. Since we have set all the texts required, we can just return the view that we created, and let's replace the price as well. We need to give the count here, so the count is going to be menu.length, and since menu and price are the same length, we are just going to get the count from the menu.length. Now going back to main activity, we no longer require the adapter and also the string menu as it is in the adapter that we just created. Let's create the object for the myAdapter, and we're going to say equals new myAdapter, and let's pass in the context as that is required to create the object. And we need to say ListView.setAdapter myAdapter that we just created. Let's run this and see if it works fine. And now, as you could see, all the menu items along with the price is created. But when we pressed, the application crashed. This is because we haven't set the on-item click listener properly as required. So now the text view is not the view that is getting passed, it is the menu item entirely. So we need to get the text view from the view that we obtained, and we're going to say r.id.tv name. And now if we run the program, it is working fine. Now let's see how to add an image to each of our list view item. To do that, first let's customize the menu item layout file that we created earlier. I'm going to create an image view with wrap content, and let's give an ID to the image view. I'm going to call this IV item, and let's create padding for this image view as well. Let's go to the myAdapter class, and let's get the image view that we just created. Image view IV item equals image view view.find view by ID or .id.iv item. To apply images to this image view, we need to create a drawable resource at the top. And to do that, let's create an int array and call this array drawable. We need to add in images to the Android Studio project structure for us to be able to call the images inside the drawable. To do that, I have already created several images. Let's see what these images look like. I'm going to say show in Explorer, and when we open the drawable folder, there are images of all the menu items that we created, and they have properly sized. You can download any image you want from the internet and make sure the size of the image matches. I'm going to upload the code into GitHub and leave the link in the description. So if you want to download these images, you can do it from the GitHub repository. So let's add each drawable. r.drawable.chicken65. This is prawn fry, tandoori chicken, mutton biryani, chicken biryani, and mango ice cream. Now we need to set the drawable as we did before. iv item dot set image resource, and we're going to say drawable and within square brackets I. Now let's run this program and see if it works fine. Now we see that the image view overlaps the text view, so we need to say that text view should be at the end of the image view, and to do that, Android layout to end of iv item. And now if we run this, that problem should be fixed. That's it. We created our list view with menu items that has a price along with an image as well. That's it for this tutorial. I will see you guys in the next tutorial. This is Alex Vijayaraj. Have a good one.